Live on the Quad Pod today as well, we have a great guest with us today. We're going to be talking about an incredible TV show that is coming to Access TV. They are announcing a brand new music memorabilia series, Rock My Collection. It's hosted by Ahmet Zappa, and this is an amazing piece of business. Mr. Zappa, tell us a little bit about this incredible series that you're involved in here.
Well, it's a passion of mine. It's, you know, as a music collector myself and a big fan of all things music, to have the opportunity to see and inspect and celebrate other people's collections and create you know, some awareness for them should they want us to on the value of their collection. I love hearing the stories behind you know, these collections. So the show is a celebration of people who are fans of music. They bring extraordinary things for us to inspect, price, validate if they're real or inauthentic. And we've had some pretty insane items that have shown up, like Elvis's wart. Who would have thought that someone would actually want to keep something like that? But maybe in the future they can, you know, clone Elvis from his wart DNA.
That's awesome. That is fantastic. So, how did this all come about for you? Did somebody pitch you on an idea for this, or did you go to Access TV and go, "Hey, I got this idea," or how did you get involved and get linked up with this project?
It's a story that makes me smile. I, you know, many years ago used to work quite often with MTV and for Viacom, and you know, we would do these run and gun shows where you're kind of flying by the seat of your pants. And I was fortunate enough to work with these young producers. We were all, you know, young back then, you know, even though we're immortal now because we found the fountain of youth. But so my friend Sarah Weedman, she, after leaving MTV, and she's worked at many places, she works at Access, and we've been, you know, talking about other projects and collaborating on other things. And she reintroduced me to the producer of Rock My Collection, Greg Johnston. And, you know, it's just great to reconnect. And they were like, "Hey, would you ever think about, you know, hosting the show?" And I haven't hosted and been in front of the camera doing anything like that for many years. But it was a subject that I love. I mean, I work in estate management. We have a company that is kind of like the go-to for music estates to catalog and preserve their legacies. You know, I have to do this myself for, you know, our own, you know, our family business, where, you know, we try to bring context to all of the ephemera that might be in a warehouse somewhere. You know, sometimes it's really great to be reminded of the stuff that you have that to other music fans becomes memorabilia that they would want to, you know, that they cherish, right? So from all sides, I'm involved in, you know, in my daily life. So hosting a show, celebrating people's music collections is right in my wheelhouse. And it was one of the best experiences I've had in a long time, working with friends, meeting music fans. It's just great.
Now, one of the items that you guys talk about in some of these programs is, for instance, this Peggy Lee Barbra Streisand signed menu from 1969. First of all, why does someone have this in their possession? And how did you get wind of this whole thing?
Well, that's why I love the show. Is people that have these moments in time, they're like time capsules, right? So as an example, this menu, the gentleman who brought it onto the show, he was there, right? So he needed a keepsake, or rather, he wanted something because it was a special night to even be able to go. At that time in Las Vegas, this was a very highfalutin, high class kind of an experience, right?
Yeah.
And so, taking the menu, and then I think he was smart enough to, I saw them perform, so to memorialize that, to get them to sign it, he had such chutzpah to even, work his way backstage. So when you watch the show, you get to hear his story, and that's why I'm not doing, him justice. He tells his own story far better than I am right now, but I was fascinated by the lengths that people will go because they love music so much. They love these artists just to get a signature. And, that was the joy of participating, in making this program. It was really enlightening, heartwarming, and we had great guests. We had real, music superstars coming on that would share items from their own collection that are meaningful, that inspired them in many ways. So it was just a delight. I think people will really, if you're a fan of music and you like music memorabilia, you're going to love the show.
Well, and
I hope.
Well, I'll tell you, it is a fantastic look at some of the different things that people value and people have. One of the things that I noticed years ago, speaking of like with Access TV, obviously they air Impact Wrestling. They air a professional wrestling program, and I always thought that pro wrestling was the only group of people that they would hold on to everything and anything. Ric Flair's robes, Dusty Rhodes' boots, all these things. And then I started to realize that, no, the rock and roll people and the country music people do this as well. It is just amazing some of the different things that you guys, I'm sure, have found over your time of taping this first season. Yeah,
Again, the stories were fascinating. Some made me cry, because the personal nature and how connected, people are. And I experienced that in my own life. I'm sure you do too. Out of curiosity, are you a collector of any kind?
Oh,
are you a music collector? Do you have any music memorabilia?
I've got when we used to do a ironically a television show, and I would always get the bands, whether they were local, national, regional, whatever the hell they were, I would have them sign something. And so I have all sorts of things hanging up in our studio from various bands that they don't exist anymore. But I have, a signed poster or a signed T-shirt or something like this. And I'm amazed that people.
It sounds like maybe you were collecting certain things, like either back or whatever the flyer was from that show, or there's.
I know people that will collect signed drumsticks from various drummers around the world. We interviewed Foghat one time, and the drummer in Foghat was signing, drumsticks after the event because there was people that's what they collected was drumsticks. So it's amazing,
and I love that. I'm kicking myself because I was someone who was fortunate enough to get passes for a show, and I always liked those like satiny sticker things. I would always put them on the inside of my jacket or whatever I was wearing.
Yes.
Going back to when I was as a kid, and I used to keep those things, and at some point I was like, I don't need these anymore. And now I want to, light myself on fire as I see them. They're so cool.
Now, something that you guys do on this program, which I think is amazing, is you will have you'll do field trips to music landmarks, and then you'll do this thing called instant memorabilia, where basically an iconic musician will zoom in to the studio, and they'll sign a personal item live on the show. Tell us about this process.
Well, the first thing you were mentioning, these sort of virtual field trips.
Yes.
As an example, we had a really they were very generous with their time. The Grammy Museum, great organization. They have a lot of pretty historic, a lot of historic music memorabilia, and so we investigated, some of their rare artifacts. Just a lot of fashion, which is of interest to me. I love some of the outfits that you don't see bands wearing anymore. Just they have an amazing collection. So that's an example where we get great access into the behind the scenes of how they're curating their events, as an example, at the Grammy Museum. And then the instant memorabilia segment on the show is something I really, really enjoyed doing, because it starts with us interviewing a musical icon, people that we were blessed. A lot of the musicians that came on the show, I'm a huge fan of their work. So, we wanted to do something special where maybe they would sign something and let us auction it off for charity, because, some of the guests that come on our show, we tell them how much their items are worth, and we can help them sell their items should they choose to, so that our audience might start their own collection or add, some memorabilia to, some new memorabilia to their ongoing collection. So we thought it would be fun to, have our musical celebrity guests sign something, and we were like, look, it could be anything. We wanted to have fun, sign a spork, right? And honestly, the guests were overly generous with the kind of items. Alice Cooper, gave us a piece of stage-worn apparel that he signed. We got a guitar from, I'm blanking on, I forget which artist, because it's all a blur now.
Well,
but,
see, the thing is you guys covered a lot of ground with a lot of people, so I can kind of see why you why you can't remember, because my God, just watching the preview of the show that Access TV sent us, my Lord, you guys cover a heck of a lot of ground, and that's just one episode.
Yeah, it was surprising to me, because some of the, look, it's a strange time with the world, with COVID and all of that. So it was, we were all obviously very safe making the show, and because we couldn't have certain people flying in for whatever restrictions or personal safety, one of the things we would do that was really fun is people would join us via the power of the internet, and and because they're so comfortable in their own homes, we kind of got like walking tours inside. It was like lifestyles of the super cool, and famous, I'm just, Linda Perry is a standout moment for me. I'm such a fan of hers. She's such an amazing musician, mega producer. So to see her, the inside of her, the way that she works, what she was trying to find items, an item to sign for us, was really cool to watch, because she's holding up her phone and taking you through her house, in the studio. And you're like, I don't know of another show that is having kind of those off-the-cuff moments happen, and we got a bunch of those. So, I hope that, we have the opportunity to do more of this in the future, and maybe we will if people tune in and enjoy Rock My Collection. Fingers crossed.
Now, one thing that I've got to ask you through this whole process is, has anybody come through with some memorabilia from Frank Zappa that you and the rest of the family had no clue existed?
That hasn't happened yet, but that would be certainly cool. I mean, I would love for that to happen. So maybe if someone out there has something red, there are things that I've seen before that are always interesting to me on a personal level. My dad was a painter early in his career. He worked in advertising. He made greeting cards, and he was just there really wasn't anything that my father, in my opinion, couldn't do very well. Yeah. So occasionally I'll hear rumblings of one of his paintings showing up somewhere, and that's always awesome to see, because his art style was extraordinary. Yeah. So that would be great. I'd love for someone, just putting it out there, let's manifest this. Someone should come on the show and say, here's a painting that your dad did in the 60s, and it's so cool, I want you to have it. I will say thank you.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. Well, before we let you go, my friend, how do we get in touch with you and watch the show and everything?
Well, it's premiering on Access on the 15th, so if you have Access TV, tune in there. And if you feel like following me on my socials, I would encourage you to do so. You can go on Twitter and Instagram and all of the usual places. I'm just at Ahmet Zappa, and drop me a line, say hi. It's always good to hear from interesting folks out there.
That's awesome. Well, you have been fantastic. This has been an honor and a privilege. Big fan of yours for a while, so I'm glad we were able to make this work. And good luck with the show, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you so much. Great talking to you.
Definitely.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day. There he goes. That is Ahmet Zappa, and he is going to be part of this incredible, incredible television show for Access TV. Ironically, we used to have a show on ACCESS TV. Access TV. This is Access TV. I don't know. Doesn't matter. That joke died officially at 1:47 Central Standard Time. Access TV puts a spotlight on the eclectic array of passionate collectors and the incredible music items that they hold dear. An all-new music memorabilia series, Rock My Collection, is going to premiere Sunday, August 15th, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And, of course, it is produced by Critical Content with executive producers Ginny Daly, Tom Foreman, R. Greg Johnston, Ahmet Zappa, and Matt Pickle. It is a fantastic piece of business. Stephen H. Braitman is involved in this as well. And you can get more information online, coast to coast, and border to border, all over the place. Ahmet Zappa, our guest this week, here on our big broadcast. Here on the Quad Pod, ladies and gentlemen. Check out the Quad Pod for more, and we will see you next time.